just like Diddy, Epstein didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing.
And I'm sure that's probably not public information yet, but who's the person that's number one on that invitation list?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I can get on that list,
yes,
right?
Yes, without a doubt, you are invited.
That is so generous of you. Cheers to that.
See you at the White Park.
The cameras turn on, and for a moment, everything feels off. Candace Owens sits there, quieter than usual. Not the sharp, fast-talking presence people are used to. Not the confident voice that normally cuts through controversy like it's nothing. This time, there's a pause. A real pause. The kind that makes you lean in a little closer. And when she finally speaks, her voice doesn't carry that usual edge. It carries weight. She says she didn't expect to feel like this again. Because just when people thought the Epstein story had faded into the background, something shifted. Old conversations started coming back. Documents were being talked about again. Names, familiar names, began circulating online like wildfire.
And many of these things that you may have thought were conspiracies, things that I grew up thinking were conspiracies, are so obviously not conspiracies at all. It's getting interesting, but we can put that as another thing that I was right about. Unfortunately, I don't want to be right about these things sometimes, but when it came to Emmanuel Macron, yeah, that's been pretty obvious. Any woman looks at Brigitte and just goes, nah, nope, something not right there. When I said it, it was a conspiracy. Now these Epstein emails are getting released and people are looking up, and by people, I mean the mainstream media. They're willing to accept that maybe I was telling the truth. He's also married to a dude because he's gay, so that makes sense. But I guess we'll wait for the next email dump before the reliably dishonest press is prepared to admit that part too. And then this text chain that is happening, they are discussing Emmanuel Macron's boyfriend. It is Epstein, and I believe in other chats, he's talking with Steve Bannon, and this says, along with some other tidbits, I was shown a photo of Macron's boyfriend. Hypocrisy. There are more emails referencing the fact that Emmanuel Macron is gay. And I think the biggest clue is that he married a dude. But apparently now people are willing to accept that Emmanuel Macron is not a straight Catholic man by any stretch of an imagination. No, in fact, I know his trigger. His trigger is MK Ultra. And his trigger is anybody that discusses his wife, and there's something there, okay? Now that we are kind of graduating into the Epstein files as a society, you can start to separate that all of these facts from fiction and recognize that the media is out there to consistently lie and to protect the elites. They have money, they have power, they do not have the truth on their side.
And suddenly, one name started trending in a way that made people stop scrolling: Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, before anything goes further, she makes something very clear. There is no verified evidence that Leonardo DiCaprio committed any crimes connected to Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged, he has not been accused in any official legal sense. But his name, she explains, has appeared in discussions tied to those same elite social circles. And for her, that alone was enough to hit differently. Because this isn't just about facts, it's about what people believed for years and what they're starting to question now.
He went out there and claimed there were tens of thousands of hours of tape. There are, by the way, but they are child pornography. The reason the FBI is not releasing them is because those tapes do not include underage people with third parties on Epstein Island. That is not what the tapes are. I also have sources in the federal government who are covering this stuff and have seen the documents. Hey, those tapes are just child porn. That's all. That's what they are. That's why the FBI is not releasing them. Okay, as far as the Epstein list, what I have been told by my sources is that there is no Epstein list. That basically there's a black book of Jeffrey Epstein contacts. And the vast majority of those contacts are already out there publicly. That's why you know names like Prince Andrew or Alan Dershowitz or some of the names that have been mentioned here. Those contacts, there is no evidence, according to the DOJ and the FBI, and again, that's public. There's no evidence that any of those third parties were having girls trafficked to them. And that is not evidence that was made clear, certainly, to the DOJ or the FBI. Here is Tucker then asserting that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, not a shock. Of course, this is where Tucker was going. This has become the hot speculation on the internet, is without evidence. You say that Mossad was running Jeffrey Epstein. When I say without evidence, I mean without evidence. Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, said, quote, As a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. And in fact, I followed up with the former Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, and what he told me is that Mossad has not been active in the United States against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of 1987, when a U.S. Army contractor who's actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government. He was prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison.
I didn't watch this whole clip. This is
years.
Hilarious.
And so Israel since then has not spied on the United States with Mossad.
Okay, guys. Well, there you have it. It's just, I don't know how he does it with a straight face. I'm just like, well, anyway, guys, there's millions of emails, but don't even it's like, Mossad hasn't been doing nothing. I know it seems weird because BB's like always here or whatever, and we seem to be doing their bidding everywhere. But the Mossad just said in the United States, they were like, I'm a chill. And they haven't done a single thing here at all. I know it might look that way. Miriam Adel said she doesn't even know their name. She doesn't know who they are, actually. She's doing her thing, and she's giving Trump $200 million, but it ain't got nothing to do with the Mossad. So I just wanted to bring you that stunning report from Ben Shapiro. Thank you for clarifying, Benjamin.
What? 21 cars? They could have gave me a car.
Candace leans forward slightly, her voice softer, almost reflective. She talks about growing up watching Hollywood from a distance. Like most people, she says, she saw it as this shining world. Red carpets, awards, smiling faces. Everything looked perfect. Everything looked earned. There was this idea that if you reached that level, you had made it. Not just in success, but somehow in character, too. And Leonardo DiCaprio, he wasn't just any celebrity, he was the celebrity. The kind of actor people didn't just watch, they respected. He built a reputation over decades. Serious roles, powerful performances, environmental activism, a public image that felt intentional, clean, thoughtful, almost untouchable. That's why this moment feels so heavy. Because when a name like that gets pulled into conversations, connected, even loosely, to something as dark as the Epstein scandal, it shakes something deeper than curiosity. It shakes trust. Candace explains that what really got to her wasn't a headline or a rumor. It was the realization of how interconnected these worlds really are. Finance, politics, entertainment, they don't exist separately the way people think they do. Behind the scenes, there are overlapping circles, private events, exclusive gatherings, the kind of rooms most people will never see. And that's where things start to feel uncomfortable. Because once you accept that those overlaps exist, you can't unsee it. She pauses again. You can tell she's choosing her words carefully now. She says people need to understand something important. Being in the same room as someone, attending the same event, or even knowing someone socially does not mean involvement in their actions. That line matters. It always matters. And she repeats it more than once, almost like she wants to make sure nobody twists what she's saying. But here's the twist. Even without direct accusations, proximity changes perception. And perception, especially in today's world, moves fast.
Emails drop, and Jeffrey Epstein, who worked on behalf of the Rothschilds, according to him, wrote that in an email, the Rothschilds, who credit themselves with having created which nation state? Oh, right, Israel, the same nation state that is having a bunch of women say that they were ritualistically abused in a forest by rabbis. That's happening in the Knesset right now, that nation state, saying that they were 3-4 years old when this happened. He's saying, those are my bosses, the Rothschilds. And here is a brief, but by no means an extensive coverage, video that was put together by, I assume this guy must be Goy, right? Goy? TikToker Contrarian put this together. Take Take a listen.
Israel is mentioned twice as much as Donald Trump in the new documents. Here he is discussing with Roger Schank, a Jewish American academic and hedge fund worker, saying Jews create vast fortunes by manipulating markets and creating financial speculation and exploiting labor. He says, let the Goyim deal in the real world. In a discussion with the Rothschild family, Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government, there would be great opportunities. The Rothschild family paid Epstein $25 million for certain algorithms. While talking to Peggy Seigel, August 7th of 2010, she asks if an event is going to be 100% Jewish. He says no, they'll have Goyim in abundance. But don't worry, they're just brilliant wasps from JP Morgan. Joshua Finkelstein, BlackRock's Larry Finkelstein's son, is accused of not having any respect for non-Jews, seeing them as not human. This is from his ex-girlfriend, Svetlana. He pressures her to have an abortion. In 2017, Epstein has a conversation talking about if you want to hire the best people, you have to hire only Jews. Only hire those who can prove they are genetically Jewish. Maria Farmer, one of the first victims to come out and name Epstein.
I wasn't allowed to go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, it's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish. They're not going to serve you. They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else.
Said that their operation was motivated by Jewish supremacy.
Anybody gonna say that that's not real anymore?
Candace begins breaking down how the internet reacted. Within hours of the name trending, people were pulling up old photos, event guest lists, theater views. Any connection, no matter how small, was suddenly under a microscope. Social media did what it always does. It filled in gaps, sometimes responsibly, sometimes recklessly. And that's where things get dangerous, because speculation can spiral. But she doesn't focus on the chaos. She focuses on the feeling underneath it. Disillusionment. That's the word she keeps coming back to. She says this situation isn't about proving guilt. It's about something more emotional than that. It's about realizing that the world people admired from a distance might not be as separate from darker realities as they once believed. And that realization, it hurts. She starts to get more personal now, talking about how easy it is to place celebrities on pedestals, to assume success equals integrity, that fame somehow filters out association with anything questionable. But moments like this challenge that idea completely. What nobody expected was how emotional she would get while saying this. Her voice cracks slightly, not dramatically, not in a performative way, but enough to make it clear that this isn't just commentary for her. This is something she's processing in real time. She explains that the Epstein case didn't just expose crimes, it exposed a system, a network, a reality where powerful individuals often move within the same social environments, whether the public understands it or not. And once that door is opened, it doesn't close. The conversation shifts toward the media. Candace says there's a pattern she's noticed. When names come up, especially big ones, there's often a rush to either completely dismiss any discussion or to sensationalize it beyond recognition. And both extremes create problems, because shutting down questions too quickly makes people suspicious. But jumping to conclusions without evidence creates harm. And somewhere in the middle, that's where truth is supposed to live. She urges viewers to stay grounded, to ask questions, yes, but responsibly, to understand context, to respect the difference between association and accusation.
Now, because of pressure, we have Attorney General Pam Bondi saying she's agreed to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, here's the headline coming out of NBC News. Deputy Attorney General will meet with Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. And she says, if there's more to figure out here, we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it. This is all fake, and you should not accept this. The moment that she should have just gone away and we could stop listening to Pam Bondi is the moment when she actually said that she was not sure whether or not Epstein could have been working for another country. Despite the fact that we have testimony in the form of Viktor Ostrovsky, who we covered. He defected from the Mossad, wrote a book, gave many speeches, speaking about exactly how he worked with Jeffrey Epstein, what his capacity was. Mossad has confirmed that Victor Ostrovsky is not a fraud. He used to work for them, okay? So yeah, you got some evidence there. Also, Ari Ben-Menashe saying that, yeah, Epstein was brought to us. He was supposed to involve him in weapons dealing, the Iran-Contra affair. You know this, Pam Bondi, because the public knows this. So if you're playing stupid, it means that you are now a part of the swamp. You're part of the deep state. You are covering things up. And they're trying even more distractions, releasing the MLK files. Oh, we're gonna now look into, here's everything. Here's a trove, tens of thousands of documents pertaining to the assassination of MLK, as if we don't already know that the feds shot him. Meant to be a distraction. I actually love that MLK's daughter, Bernice King, tweeted this. Check this out. Now do the Epstein files. No one is being distracted, you guys. We all recognize what exactly is happening, and it's a good thing. Stay focused on this because, like I said, this is the thread. This is the undoing. This is everybody's going to wake up very quickly to the tapestry of deception that has been very carefully woven.
But even as she says all that, there's still that lingering tension in her voice. Because emotionally, this is bigger than logic. It's about the collapse of an illusion. For years, Hollywood operated on distance. People saw what they were shown. Interviews were controlled. Images were curated. There was mystery, and with mystery came admiration. But now, everything is searchable. Everything is revisited. Old connections don't stay buried. They resurface, sometimes years later, in completely different contexts. And when they do, they change how people feel. Candace reflects on how this affects public trust. She says it's not easy to accept that someone you respected might have moved in circles you don't fully understand. Not because it proves anything, but because it forces you to question what you thought you knew. And that questioning, it's uncomfortable, it's emotional, it's confusing. She talks about fans, about people who grew up watching Leonardo DiCaprio, who saw him as more than just an actor. For many, he represented excellence, consistency, a certain level of integrity in an industry that often lacks it. So when his name gets pulled into a conversation like this, even indirectly, it creates a kind of internal conflict. Do you hold on to the image you've had for years, or do you start looking at everything differently? That's the emotional weight of this moment. Candace doesn't pretend to have all the answers. In fact, she leans into that uncertainty. She says maybe the hardest part of all this is not knowing, not having clear lines, not being able to say, this is exactly what happened. Because people want clarity, but what they're getting instead is complexity. And complexity doesn't go viral as easily as headlines do. As she moves toward the end of her thoughts, her tone shifts again. It becomes steadier, but still heavy. She reminds viewers one more time, there is no verified evidence connecting Leonardo DiCaprio to Epstein's crimes. That distinction matters. It should never be ignored. But she also says something else.
The conversation itself matters too, because it reflects a broader change in how people view power, fame, and influence. The era of blind admiration is fading. People are paying attention in a different way now. They're asking more questions, looking deeper, connecting dots, not always correctly, but persistently. And while that can lead to chaos, it can also lead to accountability. Her final words aren't loud. They're quiet, almost reflective. She says maybe this moment isn't about one person at all. Maybe it's about what happens when the image of perfection starts to crack. When people realize that fame doesn't exist in a vacuum, that success doesn't automatically separate someone from complicated social environments. And maybe, just maybe, that realization is what's making this feel so emotional. Because once you see the world that way, you can't go back to how you saw it before. And that's what stays with you. Long after the headlines fade. Long after the names stop trending. That feeling doesn't go away. And as we come to the end of all of this, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. No matter where you stand, no matter what you believe, this story has already changed something in the way people look at fame, power, and the people they once admired without question. Because it was never just about one name, or one headline, or one trending topic. It was about what happens when the walls around celebrity culture start to feel thinner than they used to be.
Candace Owens' emotional reaction in this situation didn't come from a place of accusation. It came from something deeper, something more human. That uncomfortable feeling when the world you thought you understood suddenly looks more complicated than you ever expected. And whether people agree with her or not, that reaction is something a lot of viewers can relate to in their own way. Because we all grow up believing in certain images. We see actors like Leonardo DiCaprio as larger-than-life figures. We attach meaning to their success, their films, their public image. And for many years, that distance is what keeps the illusion alive. But today, that distance doesn't exist the same way anymore. Everything is online. Everything is revisited. Everything is questioned. And that's where things get emotionally heavy. Not because there is proof of wrongdoing in this specific case, there isn't, but because the conversation itself forces people to confront how easily perception can shift. One moment, someone is an untouchable icon. The next, their name appears in a discussion that opens old wounds tied to one of the most disturbing scandals in modern history. And once that happens, people start thinking differently, not just about celebrities, but about the systems around them, the environments they move in, the spaces that remain hidden from public view. But even in all of this uncertainty, one truth still matters more than anything else: fairness. The importance of not crossing the line between questioning and accusing, between curiosity and judgment, between conversation and conclusion. Because once that line is crossed, truth becomes harder to find, not easier. And maybe that's the real message buried inside all of this noise. That in a world where information spreads instantly, responsibility matters more than ever. It's easy to react. It's easy to assume. It's easy to believe the most dramatic version of any story. But it takes something different to stay grounded when everything around you is moving fast. So as this discussion continues online, and as more names, more clips, and more theories circulate, the real challenge for viewers isn't just to watch, it's to think carefully, calmly, critically. Because stories like this don't just disappear. They evolve, they resurface, they shift shape over time. And how we respond to them says just as much about us as it does about the people involved. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about all of this? Do you feel like celebrity culture is changing in a way we can't ignore anymore? Or do you think the internet is simply connecting dots that were never meant to be connected in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read as many as I can, and your perspective matters in conversations like this. And if you made it this far, you already know you're part of the real community here. So don't forget to like this video if it made you think, subscribe to the channel for more deep dive stories like this, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Because the truth is, these stories aren't ending anytime soon, and neither are the questions that come with them.